Coming up, a boating accident at Table Rock Lake takes the life of one person and injures two others over the weekend.
Plus, here comes the sun, here comes warm temperatures, the latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And instructors at Pittsburgh State College of Technology help some kids build the future of robotics with Legos.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first,
you know, it's occurred to me that technology is not working in our favor right now.
Yes, it is.
And that is simply because, you know, it goes down that way. So while we adjust technology, I'll very quickly hold you over here. It is
Thank you.
sunny.
I appreciate that.
It's sunny. Sun's coming up. It's going to be 73 today. We are sitting in the upper 60s to lower 70s across the board. As we progress through the day, high of 98. It's a dry heat, so no humidity means even though it's hot at 98, it's going to feel like 98. Dipping into the mid 70s as we head into the overnight. Technology is now working in our favor. So Tanya, we're going to send it back to you for the latest news. We'll have more on the forecast later.
It's funny when it's the same story that was in the last half hour, you don't realize it's the wrong half hour in the prompter.
In the morning.
It happens. It happens. All right. Well, one person has died and two others injured after an accident on Table Rock Lake. Authorities say a pontoon boat drove into a crowd near an area popular with swimmers known as Breezy Point Sunday afternoon. One body was recovered, two people hurt, but the extent of their injuries is unknown at this time. It's unclear if those hurt or missing were on the boat at the time of the accident. Operator of the vessel has been arrested for suspicion of boating while intoxicated. This is an ongoing investigation, and we'll have more information as the story develops. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt calls for a special audit of Tulsa public schools for what he says is a potential mishandling of public funds. Governor Stitt says he ordered the audit at the request of two Tulsa school board members. They wrote to Stitt on July 1st to complain that state contract laws may have been violated. Governor Stitt also raised concerns the school may be violating a new state law that he signed after the legislature passed it last year. This law prohibits the teaching of certain concepts of race and racism. President Biden says he is considering declaring a public health emergency to free up federal resources to promote abortion access, even though the White House has said it does not seem like a great option. After last month's Supreme Court ruling to reverse Roe v. Wade, protesters across the nation continue to rally as more states move to ban or restrict abortions. Bradley Blackburn has the latest.
In downtown St. Louis, abortion rights protesters poured onto a highway, completely shutting down traffic for about 15 minutes.
I am no longer going to sit down and let the government tell me how my body should run.
We need it federally legal so that abortions can be safe.
Advocates for abortion rights took to the streets around the nation this weekend, from D.C. to L.A. and many places in between, like this reproductive freedom rally in Iowa.
You can't just, as you know, old white men make the rules over our bodies. We are going to fight back, and that everybody should care, everybody should know their rights. On a bike ride near his beach house in Delaware Sunday, President Biden spoke briefly about his efforts on abortion.
We can do a lot of things to accommodate the rights of women. In the meantime,
the president said his administration is looking at a number of responses to the Supreme Court's decision, including a public health emergency declaration to free up federal resources. He said he's asking officials whether he has the authority to do that and what the impact would be.
My ultimate goal is to reinstate Roe v. Wade as a national law by passing it in the United States Congress, and I'll sign it the moment that happens.
The president also offered a message to those who oppose the Supreme Court ruling. He said, keep protesting. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
On Friday, President Biden signed an executive order aimed at protecting abortion rights. The order offers new guidelines for protecting patient privacy, efforts to expand access to medical abortion, and it directs agencies to take steps to ensure emergency medical care for pregnant women and those experiencing pregnancy loss. Well, if you're ever on the go and want to still be able to watch our newscast live, you can download the KOAM Plus app. It's available free of charge on the Apple and Google Play stores, as well as Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Just search for KOAM Plus. Well, the wait is about over if you need a new pizza spot. Pizza Ranch opens in Joplin today. It's located at 2332 East 20th. The first 100 people in line get free pizza for a year, and KOAM's Shannon Becker is there right now. And as you can see, people have been lining up, and they began lining up last night. Some were sleeping, some were playing games, some just hanging out. The restaurant chain is locally owned and is the 222nd Pizza Ranch to open across the Midwest. Full menu is on our website at KOAM News Now. That's cool.
That is very cool.
It has
Pizza
arcade
Ranch.
stuff inside too.
Yes, from what I've been told, it's like Chuck E. Cheese, but geared toward adults. I mean, you can still take your kids there, but there's arcade games, and it's you don't have the kid atmosphere you do at Chuck E. Cheese. You have a more standard restaurant atmosphere, but just with a few games to play. So, yeah.
You don't think it'll get that kid atmosphere?
It's going to give me a kid feeling for sure, but, you know, I mean, I don't have to worry.
I plan on taking my kids. There's not a restriction, is there?
No, not that I've heard of.
They would be mad if I went without them.
We're definitely going to go. So, and people camping out doesn't surprise me because, I mean, you know, when Raising Cane's opened, they said that it broke the number of people for their first customers, broke the record for most customers on a grand opening day for any of their stores in Missouri. So Joplin is hungry for new things, new restaurants, new places to go. And I mean, this certainly shows it. Anytime we get a new place, we're like, absolutely, we'll be there. Just tell us when. Or we'll be there even earlier than that. So, yeah. Skywatch Weather Center. Skywatch Weather Center's over there. This is the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Nothing to track other than heat advisory for some of our friends in northeast Oklahoma because it's going to get a bit toasty. It runs until 8. Otherwise, the rest of us are clear. Sunny skies. The sun is rising. There it goes up in the sky as we are at 73 in Joplin. Most of us in the lower 60s to heavens almighty. I've been doing that backwards all day. The upper 60s to lower 70s across the board. As we head through the day, it is going to heat up, but there's some good news. Humidity levels are going to stay low. So even though we're heading for a high of 98, the good news there is it's going to be a dry heat, so it's going to feel like 98. And the other thing is, let me get through tonight. We're going to dip into the mid-70s as we go through the night. I want to show you the future track real quick. So tomorrow morning, some of our northern counties could see some isolated showers or storms, but what's going to result is we're going to get some cloud cover. So there's those pop-up storms, and that cloud cover is actually going to keep temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s for highs. And yet again, as I mentioned, it's a dry heat. So take a look at future feels like. It's going to feel like whatever the actual temperature is today. So like I said, it's going to be hot, but it's going to be not miserably hot. 7-day forecast showing us the 89, shows us the warming trend, but again, humidity levels expected to stay low, so even though it's going to be 99, at least it'll feel like 99, not 110. And then some storm chances building back in by the weekend. So that's where we stand. At least the humidity's not kicking us in the butt anymore.
All right, well, up next, we meet Matilda and Mr. Wormwood. That's right. We've got a couple of cast members from Pittsburgh Community Theater stopping by to give us a sneak peek at an upcoming production of Matilda. And later, watch that extra pinch of salt. It could actually shorten your lifespan. We'll explain. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
This morning, an extra dash of salt could shorten your lifespan and how the COVID vaccine may be less effective for some cancer patients. Michael George has some of the day's top health stories.
Next time you have dinner, you may want to go easy on the salt. A study of more than 500,000 people published in the European Heart Journal found people who add extra salt to their food are 28% more likely to die prematurely. People who rarely or never add extra salt tended to live 1 to 2 years longer. Blood cancer patients have a reduced response to the COVID-19 vaccine. A study published by Wiley found less than half of people with leukemia, lymphoma, and multiple myeloma had detectable COVID antibodies after taking the vaccine. However, after a booster shot, the amount of protection rose significantly. The quality of hospital care improves drastically when the doctor and patient speak the same language. An analysis published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal found in some cases the odds of death were decreased by more than 50% when there was no language barrier. Researchers say this highlights that clear communication between doctors and patients can be life-saving. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
A new study using artificial intelligence analysis of photos says people who have pets are happier people. Researchers with Pet Plan, a pet insurance company, used a facial recognition tool. They analyzed images of people without pets and more than 9,000 pet owner selfies with pets to generate a happiness emotion score. Those without pets had a happiness score of 36.8%, and those with pets were at almost 60%. The highest pet happy countries were New Zealand, Brazil, and Hungary. The USA was number 14 among the top 20 countries. Taking a look at 7th and Rangeline, the sun is coming up now above the tree line. Temperatures are looking pretty good as we start this day. 73, a nice start for this day before temperatures really start to soar. Most of us sitting in the upper 60s to lower 70s across the board. So let's talk about how the day is going to go. And here's how it's going to go. It's going to heat up. It's going to heat up pretty quickly. We're going to reach 98 degrees, but I have some good news. We've been talking about it, and I just can't emphasize it enough. Humidity levels are going to stay low. So even though it's going to be hot, it's going to be 98, it's going to feel like 98. It's not going to... You okay over there? All right. Gabe almost seriously injured himself, but that's all right. Temperatures dipping into the mid-70s as we go through the night. Quick look at the future track. Afternoon highs, again, getting up there. It's going to be a toasty one, but it's a dry heat, so it's not going to be miserably hot, just hot. And then we have a system coming in. It's going to bring some shower and thunderstorm chances to our northern counties, and then it's going to leave some lingering cloud cover, and that's going to help us in the sense of temperatures tomorrow pushing the upper 80s and maybe some lower 90s. And again, with low humidity, it's going to feel like the upper 80s to lower 90s instead of feeling like 105 to 110 like it did last week and the week before that and all points in between. 7-day forecast. So getting warm today. Morning storms for our northern counties tomorrow. Check out these lows, 66, 71, and because it's a dry heat, so that is what's causing this, where we're going to start off pretty cool before we shoot way up, but still a dry heat at 99 degrees before more rain chances move in by next weekend. We'll have more on your forecast and more news you need to know when the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 returns right after this.
All right, I feel like this morning we may be taking a step back in time to our childhoods today with the story of Matilda. Pittsburgh Community Theater has an upcoming production of the play. We have two of the cast members here joining us this morning. Matilda herself, Bryn Sucraw, and Alex Chesney playing Mr. Wormwood. All right, thank you guys for joining us this morning. Let's get started. For those who don't know the storyline of Matilda, Alex, would you give us a brief synopsis of the play?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, we find out that all these parents are talking about how their child is so important and they're a miracle. Then Matilda over here comes along and tells the other part of the story that isn't too great, that her parents don't believe her as a miracle. And as the story goes on, she is put through all these challenges and trials of a bad headmistress, bad parents, but she overcomes these with these magical powers, finds a wonderful person named Miss Honey, and lives a happily ever after life at the end of that. So
now, Alex, to me you seem like a really sweet guy, but you play the role of Mr. Wormwood,
yes.
who is Matilda's father.
Yes.
Correct. Is Mr. Wormwood as nice as Alex is?
No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Describe to me the relationship between the two characters.
So it's like Matilda is just being herself, and he's like, "Go to bed, you boy, bookworm, whatever." And so I just keep saying I'm a girl throughout the whole play because he calls me a boy, because his son Michael is like their dream child. And then at the end, he finally calls her a daughter, but then they have to like leave it to go to Spain for some reason.
All right. What are some of the funnest parts of the play for you to do?
The funnest part is there's a song called Naughty, and it's just me, and I get to jump around on my bed and have fun, and it's just a lot of fun.
That's cool. You were telling me during the break that, I'd asked you if you'd ever seen the movie or if you saw it before you auditioned for the play, and you said this play is a lot different than the movie that we remember.
Yes. So it's not that much different. She can still like move things with her eyes, but she's not like dancing around. She can't like open the curtain windows. She just knocks over a water jug. And so it's just different because everything's like interrupted with songs, which makes it better, but different in a way.
All right. So how long have you been singing?
It might surprise you, but like 5 years.
5 years?
Maybe.
And you're, I'm guessing 10, is that right?
Yes.
I overheard earlier. I have those powers. So you're a student at St. Mary's Colgan.
Yes.
Have you ever, how exciting is it for you to be able to participate in the Pittsburgh Community Theater?
It's really exciting. It's really fun.
Something you want to keep doing?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's cool. Let's give the details of the play. When and where can everybody see it? Showtimes?
Yeah, it's going to be at Pittsburgh Memorial Auditorium the 22nd through the 24th. Those showtimes are probably going to be at 7:30 on Friday, Saturday, and then matinee performances on Saturday and Sunday.
That's right. And the matinee performances are at 2 p.m.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Talk about the cast. There's a lot of kids in this cast. There's got to be a lot of kids. It's held at a school, you know? So how is that to work with a lot of youngsters?
It's a lot of fun. It's challenging.
Sorry, I'm calling you a youngster. I made myself feel old just then.
It's challenging, but it's also very accessible. They're all talented actors. She's running circles around me a lot of the times with the amount that she has to memorize. It's insane, but all of them do a wonderful job there on the stage, and it's just a pleasure to act with all of them. It kind of ties the whole unit together, and it's just really cool. I don't know what else to say about it.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine you have a ton of lines. Matilda's a very big role, so you're spending the bulk of your summer memorizing. And
yes.
So what are you going to do when the play's over?
I don't know.
Take a break.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. All right. Describe to me like the set. What does everything look like?
Oh, goodness. Well, everything is kind of modular in that sense, but it evolves quickly from outside of Truncham Hall. You see the gate, you'll see the classroom with all their desks. You go quickly inside to the Wormwood house, you go to Miss Honey's house. It's really cool how it all flows together. We're going to have swings that are just going to appear. It's a really cool set, and it's just really fun to see how the magic comes to life within that set.
That's cool. All right. Well, and again, this play is coming up, Matilda, it starts on July 22nd, runs Friday through Sunday with the evening shows, like you said, on Friday and Saturday, and matinee shows on Saturday and Sunday. All right. Thank you guys for coming in this morning.
No problem.
Mm-hmm. And you know what they say before production, break a leg. Yes. We'll be right back.
It's time now for us to honor today's four-state hero, personnel man, second-class John Murray, the native of Cherokee, Kansas, served 2 tours in Vietnam as part of the CB unit MCB-4. This highly decorated veteran earned a Vietnam campaign and service medals, just to name a few. To personnel man, second-class John Murray, we thank you, today's four-state hero. NASA is poised to unveil new images from the James Webb Telescope, a high-tech endeavor meant to replace the Hubble. Matt Napolitano has more.
Seeing space through a new lens. NASA Tuesday is set to unveil images from the James Webb Space Telescope, also known simply as J. It's 30 years in the making, set to pick up where the Hubble telescope left off.
It's not a replacement, but it will do far more than Hubble could ever do, just because it is designed to see in infrared light. And that just means that we can see the absolute far reaches of the universe way back to the first light that was ever produced from the Big Bang with the JWST.
Aerospace engineer Camille Calabeo, known to her hundreds of thousands of social media followers as the Galactic Gal, says the technology used by the Webb Space Telescope will offer an unfiltered look into a time not yet fully understood by scientists. NASA releasing some preliminary images of what's to come Tuesday, images that some thought would never come to reality with decades of delays.
It was built by Northrop Grumman and, in collaboration with a ton of other companies and NASA centers. And it just, had a lot of delays over the years. It really just, it's the most complicated thing that humanity has ever built. So it is totally reasonable to assume that there are going to be delays.
The James Webb Space Telescope relies on imaging instruments designed to detect infrared light, which is invisible to the human eye.
We want to look at things that are 13.7 billion years old, right? So that light has actually expanded, and as light expands, it gets into the infrared spectrum, and we call it redshifting.
Technology that may illuminate stars, galaxies, and even exoplanets poised to hold life that has gone unseen. In New York, Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
We've got another half hour of news and weather just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, 2 cast members of Matilda step back under the lights of Studio K to tell us more about the Pittsburgh Community Theater's upcoming production. And Starbucks pulls a new item from their menu after just 1 week. Now, don't worry, it wasn't coffee. We'll explain. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
All right, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Before we get to today's top stories, I'd like to go to the 2-shot here, Tim, if we could. We've got a close-up camera from our
look at this.
Camera on 7th and Range Line.
There's
this is zoomed in to the intersection of 7th and Range Line.
I'm sorry. It looked like there was a chicken in this lady's car. I think it was a bird. Okay.
What was it?
I think it was a bird on the power line. We were just kind of...
Okay.
It was a bird. Okay, for a moment, it honestly looked like there was a chicken in that lady's car. So that's why we were kind of like, what in the world?
This is a little bit peeling back the curtain, what happens behind the scenes here.
Oh, gosh. But you can see, our tower cam can see quite a bit.
Traffic is flowing smoothly at 7th and Range Line. And the... Thank you, Tim, for pulling that up. I appreciate
thanks,
that.
Tim. We thought
Did we see it? We saw it right at the beginning before it flew off.
Yeah. It was on this power line, and just at the angle, it looked like there was a chicken in this lady's car that jumped up on her. Anyway, so, ma'am, if you're driving, you see this later, we apologize. We understand there was not a chicken in your car. We were just checking out the zoom feature on the camera, and then an alleged chicken appeared. Anyway.
That was amazing. All right, back to our top stories this morning. A federal judge sentenced 3 people for taking part in a $1 million check kiting scheme in Commerce, Oklahoma. Authorities say 53-year-old John Linthicum was seeing a drop in revenue from his cattle business, so he had 53-year-old Douglas Mayfield write insufficiently funded checks that Linthicum deposited into his bank account at First State Bank of Commerce. Authorities also say 61-year-old Angela Asbell worked for both the bank and Linthicum's business and used these positions to pass the bogus checks. All 3 pled guilty to conspiracy to commit bank fraud. Linthicum was sentenced to 27 months in prison, Mayfield to 6 months of home detention, and Asbell received 5 months in prison, followed by 5 months home detention. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment says it has identified a presumptive positive case of monkeypox in the state. KDHE says it was working with the Johnson County Health Department and did the testing in a KDHE laboratory. Officials say the patient is an adult resident who lives in Johnson County. KDHE is working to identify all possible contacts the patient may have had, and it says the patient had recently traveled out of the state. Health officials say the risk of monkeypox spreading in Kansas remains low. If you're experiencing symptoms, it's important to stay home. Contact your doctor as soon as possible to avoid spreading the disease to others. On Saturday, the 79th Carver Day celebration at George Washington Carver National Monument took place. The monument was the first one dedicated to an African American in our country's history. Celebration featured tours of the facility, demonstrations of his life, along with live music and dancing.
Pictured everything happening as he was a kid running around in the woods, and me and my mother, we shedded a little tears because we are really on a historic plantation right now, and not a lot of children that are our age can say that or even perform and tell the story about George Washington Carver. Many people, like we said, know him as the Peanut Man, but he was much more.
George Washington Carver claimed to have found over 300 uses for the peanut. Pittsburgh State University held its first surplus sale in nearly 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The surplus sale is held at the physical plant on campus It's an opportunity for the university to take furniture, tools, and other extra items the university does not need and sell them to the public. Sometimes professors and students find a little something extra to take home or to their classrooms.
A lot of teachers that come through, especially this year. We've had a lot of teachers looking for things for classrooms. So that was a big number of people that came through this time that I've heard comments about.
The items that are not sold at the sale will be donated to the local Habitat for Humanities. We here at KOAM want to welcome all of you back to KOAM TV and Fox 14. It's been several weeks, but we're now back to not only full power, but more power than we've ever had before. This is a video from KOAM's sky view of the project as it took shape, because the project interfered with our signal and even caused some of you to lose our signal completely. You may need to make some changes at home or let others who have lost us that know that they need to make these changes. This is what they need to do. For most newer TVs, you won't have to do anything, but if you have an older TV, you'll need to rescan your channels to be able to pick us up again. Thanks for sticking with us. And believe me, you're going to enjoy our more power. Well, the wait is just about over if you need a new pizza spot. Pizza Ranch opens in Joplin today at 2332 East 20th. This was a view yesterday evening of some folks who were camped out. KOAM Shannon Becker joined them. He says folks began lining up about 7 o'clock last night. Some of them were sleeping, some of them were playing games, some just hanging out. The chain restaurant is locally owned and is the 222nd Pizza Ranch to open across the Midwest. The full menu is available on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
I know, I don't know about you, I could definitely go for some pizza, and I'm really looking forward to trying this place out. I finally got to try Raising Cane's yesterday. Really good.
That's your food in the break room.
That is my food in there. I had some left over, and I said, you know what, I'm going to be here all night. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. Real quick clarification, just so nobody freaks out. We weren't being voyeurs with the Skywatch weather cam at 7th and Rangeline. We're just checking out its zoomability, and while we were zoomed in at its maximum limit, what appeared to be a chicken jumped into this woman's dash, and it turns out it was a bird on the line. It's just the way we were zoomed in, it made the bird appear as though it was a chicken. Anyway, just wanted to clear that up. Real quick check at 7th and Rangeline. Clear skies as the sun is rising. It is sitting at 73, and it feels like 73. Most of us in the now into the lower 70s, even starting to push the mid 70s. Quick check of the 7-day forecast for you. It's going to warm up today, but it's a dry heat, so that 97 is what it's going to feel like. Isolated storms in our northern counties tomorrow with some cloud cover. Leave us in the upper 80s, and then we've got 90s returning, but for most of this, it's a dry heat, so no crazy heat index values, and then a chance of some showers and storms as we head into the weekend. We got more on your forecast and more from the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 when we come back.
Welcome back. I'm joined again this morning by Alex and Bryn here, two cast members from Pittsburgh Community Theater's upcoming production of Matilda. And during the break, I found out a little bit more about you guys. And Bryn, this is actually your first production with Pittsburgh Community Theater, but not your first play. Will you tell me what that first play was?
It was Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Junior.
Beauty and the Beast Junior. And
yes.
You did that at Colgan?
Yes.
Yes. What was your role in that play?
Mrs. Potts.
Mrs. Potts?
Yes.
Oh, that's a fun character. So, what has it been like transitioning from your role as Mrs. Potts to the lead role, Matilda?
It was hard. It was confusing. It was fun though.
Mm-hmm. And what has been the most, I guess you'd say this is a musical, of course, so there's a lot of singing. You've told us about the one song that you do by yourself called Naughty. That sounds like a lot of fun. What has been the most challenging part of learning all the lines and everything?
Well, I have this big scene where I have to tell a story to Miss Phelps. She's a librarian, and so I'm telling her the story, and I have to memorize these long scenes 4 times, I think, and it's really confusing because it's just a lot.
But you're getting it down.
Yeah.
You're getting it down, and you have a couple weeks left.
Yes.
Yes, Matilda starts on July 22nd, that Friday. So I'm sure you'll get it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a good support system too.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about practicing your lines for this type of play?
Like, how do I do it? I just read it, I go through it, I try saying it to myself, and then I read it again if I get it wrong, and then I say it. That's how I normally do it.
Okay, I'm sure it's coming along great. What are some other fun scenes that you have in the play?
Some fun scenes. So there's a song called Smell of Rebellion, and Miss Trunchbull, the head mistress of the school, makes us do like phys ed, like PE. And so we get to do like all these tricks, and then she like yells at me after that because she gets like a newt in her pants. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
A newt in her pants?
Yeah.
Ew. That doesn't sound fun at all. All right, now, Alex, tell me a little bit about your career with Pittsburgh Community Theater. You've done a couple of other plays with them.
Yeah, I first started out at PCT doing Newsies. It was before COVID had hit, and huge show, really fun. I enjoyed it. I played race in that, and any time that there's a musical or anything or an opportunity to perform, I honestly love the theater, love the staff. It's great. It's a great time, and excited to have like fresh faces in at PCT, so it's always welcoming to have new people in there as well.
That's awesome. And this cast definitely has a lot of new faces because you have a lot of young faces in as well. If people are wanting to get involved with PCT, how would you recommend they go about that?
Yeah, just audition as much as possible. They usually put out the list of the shows for the upcoming season. Always be on the lookout for that, and just audition as much as possible. And those dates will always be posted either on their Facebook page or on the website. And just audition.
Now, I know this is community theater, and most of the participants have, 9 to 5 or daytime jobs too as well. So is it tough? Is it a struggle being able to fit the practices and rehearsals and everything in with your daily life?
It can be a little bit challenging, but the directors are very understanding. At the very beginning, you put down, say, I can't be here this day, and majority of the time willing to work with you on all of that. So willing to accommodate a lot of jobs, just random occurrences. So very welcoming in that regard as well.
Well, there are 3 dates where you would definitely have to be there, and they are July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, correct? Tell us a little bit about the show times or details about that.
So it's going to be at 7:30 on the 22nd and 23rd, and 2 o'clock on 23rd and the 24th.
All right. Hope everyone comes out and sees this wonderful production of Matilda. And you had already told me it's a little bit different than the movie, but there's some similarities there as well. So it'll bring back a lot of childhood memories for people who did see it as young. I mean, of course, did you ever get a chance to see it as a play performed?
No. Definitely listen to the soundtrack through, and it is, acting in it, it's definitely different, but it ties a lot in similarity-wise to the movie as well. So it's not so foreign to people.
Okay, all right. Well, it'll be a great experience for everybody, a great message that's told in the story as well. All right, well, thank you two for coming on. I'll let you get, I don't have to send you off to school this morning because it's summertime, so that's nice. But I guess I'll let you get to work.
Yes.
All right, we will be right back. Starbucks pulls a new chicken sandwich off its menu after less than a week. The coffee chain said the breaded chicken, maple butter, and egg sandwich wasn't up to its quality standards. The new breakfast item officially launched in the U.S. on June 21st, but was pulled from menus just 5 days later. Employees were told to throw away any leftover sandwiches. According to a company spokesman, the quality issue had nothing to do with the potential for foodborne illness. Elon Musk is trying to get out of buying Twitter. Regulatory filings on Friday show the Tesla CEO wants to end the $44 billion deal. Musk has claimed Twitter breached several provisions in the original agreement. Analysts have thought for weeks he was looking for a way out. That's after Musk expressed concern that there were more bots and spam accounts on Twitter than the company publicly revealed, though he has not provided any evidence to back those claims. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Oh, well, yesterday wasn't nearly as bad as it has been. You could still feel the summer heat. Temperatures hovering around triple digits this upcoming week across parts of the state, and it's going to impact those who work outside, like our farmers. Joe Baker talked with one farmer about how the heat impacts him and his crops.
The dry heat is no stranger to Kansas farmers, but the back-to-back days of high temperatures can cause issues for local crops.
I also raise alfalfa hay out here. We just finished the second cutting of that, and that needs rain to get to the third cutting. For the grain farmers, the wheat harvest came off and it was pretty good, but a lot of those have planted soybeans into those wheat stubble acres, and they are gonna have some rain.
Local farmer Steve McLeod farms in Newton. Steve's alfalfa field shows his crops are in desperate need of some rain. This hot summer heat can tire farmers physically, but it can also impact farmers mentally.
First of all, it's just hot. Second, when you know your crops are struggling, when you know they're suffering, it's really, really hard to stand out here and watch your crops burn up. It's hard. It's mentally hard.
He says mental health doesn't get talked about enough in the farming community. And with temperatures hovering around triple digits for the next week and with the potential for no rain to fall, Steve says they're praying for some hope.
In Kansas, in this time of year, we're always desperate for rain.
And right now, the forecast for the state unfortunately doesn't call for much rain anytime soon.
With corn harvest season coming up soon, Steve also says the high temperatures and no moisture is not a good recipe for a good corn crop. Today also going to be a hot one. Sun is up. Temperatures are sitting at 73. Most of us in the area are sitting now into the lower to mid 70s across the board. As we go through the day, there's the heat. As promised, 98 is what our afternoon high is pushing to be. Most of us will be in the upper 90s. Now, the good news is it's a dry heat. That's a good news in terms of us. With no humidity, it's going to feel like 98 instead of 110. But as they mentioned, you know, that moisture is also essential for our crops, and we do need some rain. And unfortunately, there's not really a lot in the forecast right now. It's going to dip back into the mid-60s or mid-70s rather as we head into the overnight. Going to the future tracks, some of our northern counties may see some rain showers come early tomorrow morning. As you can see, they stay pretty far north. The only good thing they do is they give us some cloud cover. It's going to keep temperatures low. And on the 7-day forecast, you can see while we do have some warm days ahead, it's a dry heat, so it's not going to be miserable. But it is going to be hot with maybe some rain chances by the weekend. We'll have more when the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 returns.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Protesters continue to call on the White House to do more to ensure abortion access for women in every state. Demonstrations took place in cities across the country this weekend. 10 states have enacted near total abortion bans since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade June 24th. Nearly 24 others have moved to outlaw or severely restrict the procedure. Health officials warn Americans to keep their guard up as a new type of coronavirus spreads through the U.S. The BA.5 Omicron variant is believed to be the most contagious strain to date, in part because of its ability to infect even fully vaccinated individuals. And Novak Djokovic defeated Nick Kyrgios in the men's finals at Wimbledon yesterday. Djokovic has now won 7 single titles at the All England Club. That's the second most of all time, trailing only Roger Federer, who's won Wimbledon 8 times.
We're all sitting in about the mid-70s now as the sun continues to climb into the sky. We're heading for highs in the upper 90s. But it's a dry heat. No humidity means it's going to feel like 98 instead of 110 under those sunny skies. Maybe some isolated showers or storms for our extreme northern counties. Rest of us remaining dry, dipping into the mid-70s through the overnight. And then as we head into the week, again, another chance of storms by the weekend, but otherwise hot, but not as humid.
All right. Well, firefighters rescue a horse after he got stuck in a water tank. Firefighters in Australia shared photos of the rescue on Facebook. They went to help the 5-year-old horse named Jester after it fell in the tank and wasn't able to get out. Ouch. They say the fall was softened by the half-filled tank. Firefighters used an excavator and a sling to get the horse out safely.
I would probably need some kind of excavating like that as well if I fell, so I'm just saying.
He just wanted a drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't swim, so somebody'd have to come and rescue me at some point. So.
Good to know. Good to know.
Well, guys, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.